There's a city on this planet that is disappearing, not slowly being abandoned, not quietly losing population, actually, physically, measurably dropping into the earth. Streets that were level 10 years ago now sit at an angle. Buildings that were built straight now lean into each other like tired old men. And the ocean, which was once a comfortable distance away, is now arriving at doorsteps that were never designed to get wet. We're talking about Jakarta, the capital of Indonesia, a city of more than 10 million people inside the city limits alone, and close to 30 million if you count the greater metropolitan area. One of the most densely populated urban zones on the entire planet. And it is sinking, not metaphorically, not in economic terms. The ground itself, the actual physical earth beneath the city, is collapsing downward at a rate that has terrified engineers, shocked scientists, and forced governments to make decisions that were once considered unthinkable. Some parts of Jakarta have sunk more than 4 meters in the last few decades. 4 meters. That is not a rounding error. That is not natural settling. That is a city disappearing into itself. And the engineers trying to stop it are fighting one of the most complex, expensive, and urgent battles in the history of urban engineering.
Residents here have built up their front steps twice in the last decade just to keep their front doors accessible. The street itself didn't rise. The ground fell. I'm standing on a residential street in North Jakarta, and what I'm looking at right now is hard to describe unless you see it in person. The road behind me is visibly lower than the doorsteps of the buildings on either side.
To understand what is happening in Jakarta, you have to understand what the city is actually built on. And here's where the story gets genuinely strange. Jakarta sits on a coastal plain made up of soft, swampy, waterlogged ground. The region was never geologically designed to hold a megacity. The soil in many areas is not solid rock or firm clay. It is a deep layered system of loose sediment, ancient swampland, and saturated alluvial deposits that were built up over thousands of years by rivers washing material down from the volcanic islands to the south. That material compresses. Under weight, under pressure, under the removal of what was holding it together, it compacts. And when it compacts, the surface drops. And then there is the water. This is where it gets terrifying. Jakarta has almost no centralized piped water system that reaches the full population. For decades, millions of people, businesses, factories, hotels, hospitals, and apartment blocks have been drilling wells and pumping water directly out of the ground beneath the city. The scale of this extraction is almost impossible to comprehend. Millions of liters pulled out of the earth every single day for decades from hundreds of thousands of private wells scattered across the city. When you remove that water, the sediment layers that the water was helping to support collapse inward. The ground above has nothing to hold it up anymore, and it falls.
I'm outside a large commercial building in central Jakarta right now, and the owner tells me there is still an active well beneath this structure. He says the city water supply is unreliable, so they have no choice but to pump. That decision, made by thousands of building owners across this city, is part of what is dragging the ground downward. And the terrifying part is that everyone knows it, and it is still happening.
Here is the crazy part. Jakarta is not just sinking because of water extraction. The weight of the city itself is part of the problem. When you pour concrete, stack bricks, build roads, erect towers, and layer infrastructure across soft, compressible ground, the earth responds to that load the way wet clay responds to pressure. It squeezes. The denser the city becomes, the more it presses down into the unstable material beneath it. Jakarta has been growing upward and outward for decades, adding millions of people, millions of structures, thousands of kilometers of road, and the soft ground has been absorbing that weight the only way it can, by compressing, by sinking, and now sea level rise is entering the equation. The global ocean is rising because of climate change. Jakarta is sinking because of human extraction. The two forces are working in the same terrible direction at the same time. Sea level rise is lifting the water toward Jakarta. Land subsidence is pulling Jakarta down toward the water. The gap between where the city stands and where the ocean sits is shrinking from both sides simultaneously.
But the land has sunk so much since then that parts of this wall are now almost at sea level relative to the ground behind it. Engineers have had to revise their calculations multiple times. In some places, the wall that was supposed to protect the city is now barely high enough to matter. The flood defense wall behind me was built to keep the Java Sea out of North Jakarta. When it was originally designed, engineers had a certain height in mind based on where the land was at the time.
This is no longer just a flooding problem. That distinction is important, and it is one of the central challenges engineers face when they try to explain what is happening here. Flooding is when water comes in and then leaves. You pump it out, you wait for it to drain, and the situation returns to normal. What is happening in Jakarta is fundamentally different. The ground is not returning to normal. Every centimeter the land drops is permanent. You cannot pump the ground back up. You cannot refill the sediment layers and expect the surface to rise again. Once the compaction happens, it is done. The land is gone. That means every solution engineers design today has to account for a ground level that will be lower tomorrow than it is right now. Every pipe, every pump, every canal, every seawall has to be engineered not just for today's elevation, but for a future elevation that is still being calculated as the sinking continues. This is like trying to build a levee while the floor is actively dropping beneath your feet.
I'm inside the city's flood canal control center right now. And what I'm looking at is a real-time digital map of water levels across more than a dozen drainage channels. The operators here are making constant decisions about which pumps to run, which gates to open, which areas to prioritize. But one of the engineers here told me something that stopped me cold.
The engineers responsible for keeping Jakarta functional are not just fighting the ocean. They are fighting physics. And the weapons they have built to fight it are some of the most ambitious pieces of urban engineering infrastructure on the planet. Start with the pumping system. Jakarta's drainage relies on a network of pumping stations positioned at strategic points across the city to move water from lower inland areas up and out into the sea. But as the ground sinks, areas that used to drain by gravity now need mechanical assistance. Pumps that used to push water over a small elevation difference now need to push it over a much larger one. The energy cost increases. The infrastructure stress increases. And when storms hit and rainfall is extreme, the pumps are sometimes simply overwhelmed. Then there are the flood canals. Jakarta has a system of large drainage canals that were designed to carry excess water from the city to the coast. Some of these canals are enormous. Wide, concrete-lined channels cutting through densely built neighborhoods. But here is the problem nobody talks about enough. When the ground around a canal sinks faster than the canal itself, the canal can end up sitting above the surrounding land. Water that is supposed to flow into the canal by gravity now cannot reach it without being pumped. The canal becomes useless for natural drainage. Engineers have had to redesign and regrade sections of the drainage network repeatedly as the relative elevations keep shifting.
I'm walking along the edge of one of the major drainage canals in West Jakarta right now. The canal is full. And I can see the water level inside the canal is actually higher than the street on the other side of the levee. That is not an optical illusion. The land outside the canal has sunk below the water level inside it. If this levee breaks, the water doesn't just flood in, it rushes in because gravity is working against the city right here.
Wait until you hear what they tried to build next. In the 2010s, Indonesian authorities and a consortium of engineers and urban planners proposed one of the most audacious flood defense megaprojects in modern history. The project was called the National Capital Integrated Coastal Development Plan, and at its center was an idea so large it sounds almost fictional. Engineers proposed building a giant outer sea wall in the shape of a mythical bird, the Garuda, which is Indonesia's national symbol, enclosing a massive artificial bay in front of North Jakarta. Inside that enclosed bay, water could be managed, pumped, and controlled independently of the Java Sea. The outer wall would protect the city from storm surges and rising sea levels. Giant pumping stations would move water from the city into the enclosed bay, and from there, it would be released into the sea in a controlled way. The scale of ambition here is almost incomprehensible. The project involved creating new land, relocating communities, building new infrastructure on entirely reclaimed territory, and constructing flood barriers of a length and height that would rank among the largest in the world.
I'm standing near the coastline, where parts of the reclamation project have already taken place. There is new land here that simply did not exist a few decades ago. Artificial islands, new roads, construction cranes still working. But residents from the fishing communities that used to live along this coastline told me they were displaced when the reclamation began. The engineering ambition here is enormous, but so is the human cost of making it happen.
And yet, despite all of this, there is something genuinely remarkable about what engineers are doing here. Because the scale of what they're managing, the scale of what they have already prevented, deserves to be understood clearly. A city of tens of millions of people is sitting on collapsing ground, being squeezed between a rising ocean and a sinking foundation, and it is still functioning. Water still flows. Power still runs. Roads are still passable. Buildings are still standing. Markets are still open. Children are still going to school. That did not happen by accident. It happened because of constant, grinding, unglamorous engineering work performed by people who show up every day and make decisions that collectively hold an enormous human civilization above the waterline. The pumps they have installed represent some of the most powerful urban drainage systems ever built. The monitoring networks they have deployed give real-time visibility into a dynamic, shifting, underground world that was invisible to previous generations. The regulations they are pushing are genuinely beginning to slow extraction rates in some districts. The new foundations being designed for critical infrastructure go deeper, anchored to more stable geological layers, and are engineered to tolerate differential movement in ways that older structures could not. This is not a victory story, but it is also not a surrender.
And I want to tell you what I noticed when I came back this afternoon.
There are workers here right now, at this moment. They are relaying the road surface, adding height, patching the drainage inlet to match the new elevation.
It is a temporary fix in the grand scheme of things, but it is someone's job, and they are doing it carefully.
That is what this fight looks like on the ground. Not one dramatic moment of thousands of necessary, relentless acts of maintenance.
The story of Jakarta is not finished. Nobody knows exactly how it ends. The engineers don't know. The government doesn't know. The families living in the lowest neighborhoods don't know. What everyone does know is that the choices made in the next decade about groundwater policy, about flood infrastructure investment, about building codes, about coastal defenses, about what gets saved and what gets abandoned will determine whether tens of millions of people continue to have a safe place to call home. This is the real stakes of engineering in the 21st century. It is not always about building something new and spectacular. Sometimes it is about fighting day after day to keep something from disappearing, to keep a city alive that the earth is trying to reclaim, to keep people in their homes on dry ground, in a world that is not making that any easier. The engineers working on Jakarta are not celebrated the way architects who design skyscrapers are celebrated. They do not appear in magazines. Their names are not on the buildings, but the buildings are standing because of them. The roads are passable because of them. The water drains because of them. And on the days when it does not, they go back and figure out why, and they fix it. That is what engineering looks like when the stakes are real.
Every pump, every canal, every monitoring station, every regulation, every redesigned foundation is
Nobody abandoned it. That, to me, is the story.
But you can also see what is being done about it. Every pump, every canal, every monitoring station, every regulation, every redesigned foundation is
Nobody abandoned it. That, to me, is the story.